Assalamu alaikum students, this is Sir Abdul Samad Khan and today we are going to start our new chapter, that is chapter number 2, system of real numbers, exponents and radicals for grade 8 and 9 matriculation. So let's get started. Properties of real numbers. Properties with respect to addition. First property is closure property. The sum of two real numbers is also a real number. For example, if we take two real numbers 2 and 3, so if we add these two numbers, we will get answer 5, and as we know that 5 is also a real number. So that is known as the closure property of addition, that whenever you are going to add any of the two numbers, then it will always give you the answer of that family. Number 2, commutative property. If we add any two real numbers, the answer does not alter even if we change the order. This property is known as the commutative property of addition. For example, if we see, we have given two examples. First example is 2 plus 3, which is equal to 5, and the second example is 3 plus 2, which is also equal to 5. So if we see that if we have just changed the order of both the examples and the answer is same, so whenever you add two numbers, any two numbers, you will always get the same answer even if you change the order. This property is known as a commutative property. Number 3, associative property. If we add any three real numbers, the answer does not alter even if we change the order. This property is known as associative property of addition. For example, over here we have also given two examples. The first example is 2 plus then bracket 3 plus 4, and the second example is bracket 2 plus 3 bracket plus 4. So first of all we need to add the values inside the bracket. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is equals to 7, and then we have to add the 7 by with 2, so we will get 2 plus 7 is 9. Okay, in the next example we have to add these values first. 2 plus 3 is 5, and then we need to add this 4 in it, so 5 plus 4 is also 9. So in both the cases we just change the orders, but the answer and the result is same. So whenever we add any three numbers, any three real numbers, and we always get the same answer even if we change the order. This property is known as the associative property of addition. Okay, additive identity. When 0 is added to any number, the value of the number is not altered. Due to this property of 0, it is called an additive identity. For example, okay, we have also given over here two examples. First example is 5 plus 0, which is equal to 5. The second example is minus 2 plus 0, which is equals to minus 2. So if we see after adding 0 in both the examples, we have given the same answer, like 5 plus 0 is 5. Okay, and if we add 0 in any number, we will get the same number. So this property of 0 is known as the additive identity. In other words, any number plus 0 is equal to the same number, as we have seen in the examples. Number 5, additive inverse. Any two numbers that give us the answer 0 after adding are called the additive inverse of each other. For example, 2 plus minus 2 is equals to 0, because plus 2 and minus 2 will cancel each other. Similarly, minus 6 plus 6 is equals to 0, because minus 6 and plus 6 will also cancel each other. Okay, now properties of real numbers with respect to multiplication. Okay, the same properties we are going to learn in the multiplication as well. The first property is called the closure property of multiplication, that states that the product of two real numbers is also a real number. Product means multiplication. For example, okay, if we take two numbers 2 and 3, and if we multiply these two numbers, we will get the answer 6, and we know that 6 is also a real number. Number 2, commutative property. If we multiply any two real numbers, the answer does not alter even if we change the order. This property is known as the commutative property of multiplication. For example, okay, if we multiply 2 by 3, we will get the answer 6. And if we change the order and then multiply it 3 times 2, which is also equal to 6. So in both the cases, even if we change the order, the answer does not alter. This property is known as the commutative property of multiplication. Number 3, associative property. If we multiply any 3 real numbers, the answer does not alter even if we change the order. This property is known as the associative property of multiplication. For example, 2 times bracket 3 times 4 is equal to 2 times 12 is equal to 24. And the second example, inside the bracket there are two values, 2 times 3, and there is one value after the bracket, that is 4. So what we need to do, we need to multiply the values inside the bracket first. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then we need to multiply 6 with 4, which is also equal to 24. So we see that in both the examples the answer is same, but the order is different. Okay, so even if we change the order of the values when we multiply any 3 values, the answer does not change. Okay, so this property is known as the associative property of multiplication. Now fourth one is multiplicative identity. When 1 is multiplied to any number, the value of the number is not altered. Due to this property of 1, it is called an multiplicative identity. For example, 5 times 1 is equals to 5. Similarly, minus 2 times 1 is equals to minus 2. In other words, we can also say that any number which will multiply by 1 will be equal to the same number. Number 5, multiplicative inverse. Any two numbers that give us the answer 1 after multiplication are called the multiplicative inverse of each other. For example, okay, 2 times 1 by 2 is equals to 1, because this 2 is in the numerator and this 2 is in the denominator, so both the 2 will cancel each other and we will only left with this one. Okay, similarly, if we take minus 1 over 6, the multiplicative inverse for that is minus 6. You can also say that multiplicative inverse is the other name for the reciprocal of any number or any fraction. So in both the cases, if we just cancel the value, we will get the answer 1. So one more thing we need to remember in the multiplicative inverse is that the sign does not change. In multiplicative inverse, sign does not change. Okay, now it is one of the most important things that we need to understand, that law of power over power. Like let us simplify the following example. Okay, as you see that there are two powers, one power is inside the bracket, the second power is outside of the bracket. So what we need to do, this is called the power over power law. So what we need to do, we need to multiply this base the number of times it has been given the power over the bracket. Okay, that means we need to multiply 3 square 4 times, like this. Number 1. Number 2, we know that in multiplication, when the bases are same, their power should be added, like this. As these values contains the base 3, which is same, so we need to add these 2's, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and our final answer for this question will be 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So 3 square to the power of 4 will be equal to 3 to the power of 8. Now, law of quotient of a powers. Let us simplify the following example. Okay, over here though two values with the same bases are actually dividing with each other, so the rule states that whenever the two values or the two bases, whenever the bases are same and they are dividing, so we need to subtract their powers, like this. Okay, first of all, we need to convert this value in the this sign, the sign of division, in the multiplication sign, and the effect of that is we need to change the sign of the power of that base which is on the right hand side of that sign. Number 1. Number 2, if we see that both the bases are same and there is a multiplication case, so what we need to do, we need to collect these power over 1 6, so it will become 6 to the power of 5 minus 3, which is equal to 6 square. Okay, so keep remember these two things, and whenever the values are multiplying, whenever the bases are same, power should be added, and in division power should be subtracted in case of the same bases. Okay, now let us learn this with some examples. Over here, if you see, we have given question number 1, and it contains, you can say, 3 binomial expressions in the numerator and 3 in the denominator, but all the values, all the binomial expressions which are in the numerator, actually they are also given in the denominator as well with different powers. So we need to apply the division law. That law states that whenever you are going to shift the values in the numerator, you just have to change the signs, or you can simply say that these two values are dividing, so you need to subtract these two power 6 minus 4 directly. Similarly, these two bases are also same, so you need to subtract these two powers 5 minus 2, and similarly you need to subtract these two powers 2, and over here the power is 1. So the equation or the expression will become somehow like this. Okay, so you just need to subtract the powers. 6 minus 4 is 2, 5 minus 2 is 3, and 2 minus 1 is 1, and this is our final answer for this expression. Okay, that's all from today's video. Hopefully you all understand the video, and inshallah we'll meet you in the next lecture with some other topics from this chapter. So till the next time, thank you so much for watching, and Allah Hafiz.